Good evening, parents. Thank you for joining us tonight for the parent informational meeting for full distance learning for next school year. My name is Dee Dee Samavia. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, and I'm going to act as the host for tonight. I'm going to introduce my panel first, and then we'll get started on explaining our K-6 program and then our 7 through 12 program. We'll have questions in between each of the programs and then additional questions at the end. I do want to alert you that we have a Q&A feature available. So if you have questions at any time, please type those out, and then we will take questions throughout the evening. So I'm going to start with our guest tonight. Mr. Jeff Hahn is with us. He's waving there. He's currently the principal of El Diamante High School, and next year he's going to transition into principal on special assignment, overseeing our online schools. We have Michelle Reed with us, principal of Vcis, so Visalia Charter Independent Study School, and the 7 through 12 program will be housed out of Vcis. So Michelle's here to help explain about our secondary program. And we have Miss Denise Crabtree, and she's an assistant principal at Royal Oaks Elementary, where our K through 6 program will be housed next year as well. So she's here to help us with some of our elementary questions. Are we good, everyone? All right, so I'm going to get started just in a brief overview. We've realized throughout this year that we have some students who really thrive in a virtual program or a full distance learning program for many, many reasons. We've heard loud and clear from some of our parents. So we wanted to be able to offer a full distance learning option next year for those students who either feel that there are safety concerns or just this is a good way of learning for them. So we have worked, our team here at district office in order to put together a program for next school year. This meeting is informational. This is to help parents to decide if this is the best option for their students. And again, we're here to answer questions, and we will continue to have parent information meetings throughout May and into June when we expect to have parents to actually make a decision so we can plan specifically for your child. I'm going to start with going over our full distance learning program for K-6. And as I mentioned earlier, it will be housed through Royal Oaks Elementary School. It says through that elementary school because students will be full distance. So they will be at home learning, but the program will be a program within the school of Royal Oaks. If you choose this option, you would be taking your student out of their home school and entering them into this full distance learning option through Royal Oaks. They will be associated with Royal Oaks. They will become Royal Oaks virtual bears, if you will. They'll have some opportunities to engage in person from time to time throughout the year, but it is a full distance learning program. So it's very similar to what students were doing during full distance this year, in that they're at home on Zoom. There will be some striking differences. It's not a half-day program. It will be more of a full-day program. In saying that, parents, they will not be on Zoom all day long. That's not good for our teachers. That's not good for our students, but it will be in and out of the day. So they'll have a language arts period. They'll break up into groups for small group instruction. They'll have breaks. They'll come back for math. So they'll be coming in and out throughout the day in order to give each student what they need. So your student could be on Zoom for a couple hours a day, and it might be split up into 3 different sections. They might be on Zoom more if they need more small group instruction. Again, specifics of it will depend on what grade level they're in, how much extra time that they need in small group, but you can plan that they will be on and off Zoom, synchronous and asynchronous time throughout a normal school day. Denise is here because I want you to get a feel for what Royal Oaks is all about. So I'm just going to turn over to her for a moment so she can talk a little bit about what it means to be a Royal Oaks bear.
Thank you. Thank you, families, for joining us this evening. We're looking forward to this opportunity to house our virtual learners, K-6 through Royal Oaks. And just like some of you mentioned, our full distance learning model will be a full day. We look forward to incorporating them into some on-campus learning activities as we can make it work for them. Virtual assemblies, being connected to what we're already doing. We focus on our pause, and everywhere we go, are we showing our respect? Are we caring? Are we being responsible for our work? Are being willing to get things done? And so our full distance learners would again fall under those same expectations. We have distribution once a week. So right now it's currently on Wednesday. So you'd be responsible for coming to pick up materials that the teachers may need your kiddos to have at home. I'm thinking big things. You really hit on all the big things that we're doing at Royal Oaks. I will say it's a really great environment. Our kids, I feel, are thriving in both in-person and full distance right now. And we look forward to answering any questions that you might have for our K-6 program.
So Mrs. Batty, do we have any so far?
Yes, Mrs. Crabtree, we do have a question. One parent wants to know, will sixth graders attend SciCon or any field trips?
Well, that is a great question. One that I haven't thought through yet. We will try to provide all the options to make sure students are prepared to move on and get the same experiences. In saying that, in person will not be required necessarily, because we know that some families are choosing this because they don't feel safe with their students being in school. So we will, I'm going to write that down because we need to check on a full distance learning option. I know this year we did have SciCon full distance learning. SciCon worked with us and did lots of activities through Zoom. And so we may offer that as an option. But thank you for that question.
I have another question regarding the K-6. How many students maximum in one full distance learning class?
So we still have to adhere to our collective bargaining agreement in regards to class size. So it'll be the same class sizes that will be in-person school. And so we have a negotiated rate of 27-1 in our K2 and 31-1 in our 4 through 6. They're traditionally a bit lower than that. But again, we'll abide by those same ratios.
I have another question. Will this be an open option if my child returns in person, but then becomes unsafe?
So meaning
Pandemic.
if they come back in person at their home school, may they choose then to be a full distance learner? Is that the question?
Yes. So will this be an option if my child returns in person, but then let's say the situation becomes unsafe with the
Absolutely.
pandemic?
Okay, so thank you for that question. We would like parents to choose and make a commitment for at least a semester, and moving back and forth. If there is room in full distance, if you start an in-person learning and you decide it's not the best option for your child and we have room in our full distance program, absolutely. We're gonna abide by our same transfer rules. So if there is room, then we will be happy to accommodate you.
I have another question. Is this the same for special education? And I believe that they mean, will this be an option for special education students?
So we want to make sure that any student that is choosing full distance learning option, that it's appropriate for them. So we are looking right now at students that this has not been successful for, that Zoom is not meeting their needs, that they need or they do better in in-person instruction. If your child has been successful in full distance learning, and we think we can accommodate you, then absolutely. If your child needs special services, that's not a problem. But we would want to work with you as a parent, your child, and their teacher, their service provider right now to make sure that this is the best option for your child moving forward.
Okay, I have about 37 more questions to go. If parents decided they don't want their child to attend full distance learning after trying it, will they be able to go back to their home school site on campus or be stuck at the full distance learning school?
So again, we're asking for a commitment for a semester. It's harder on a child moving back and forth between programs during the year and during grading period. It's even more crucial for 7th through 12th because you get into units that the child has to earn to be able to pass on to the next grade. But if it's not working, again, the same as I said earlier, we'll use a transfer policy if you aren't happy with the full distance version and there is room at your home school in the grade level in which your child is, then we can move forward and transfer them back.
Okay, we have a question regarding vaccination. If we choose to send our child back to in-person, will teachers be required to be vaccinated?
We cannot mandate teachers to be vaccinated. We have provided vaccination clinics for them, encourage them to be vaccinated for their safety and for others. but we can't, as a school district, mandate vaccinations.
Will children with aides still have them available? Teachers' aides?
An instructional aid.
Yes.
If they have an instructional aid on their IEP, then yes, they would still have that service.
Is this a year-long commitment? And I believe you already addressed that.
Mhm.
And that is no, it's a semester commitment.
We would ask for a semester commitment. Obviously, a year we would love, so we can plan accordingly, hire enough teachers for that. But we realize that there can be changes throughout the year. So we're really asking that there's no movement until semester time.
Will there be track and field next year? And can full distance learning students participate?
So, and we'll get into this more for secondary as well. Students will be able to participate in extracurricular and K through 6. Track is that opportunity. That's the only sport that is offered for elementary students. And that's typically 4th through 6th grades. And so, yes, we will be offering that. So they'll either join Royal Oaks Bears or look at their homeschool depending on the size of the teams.
For K-6, are there currently any plans to have in-person learning with conventional pre-COVID days hours? In other words, the regular hours that we had before the shutdown?
For in-person?
Yes.
In person, we have been getting guidance from our governor and others that are returning to as full of a normal return as possible. And so we're looking at normal hours for in-person learning. So the typical 8:15 start time until either 2 or 3 for elementary.
Will TK be included in distance learning?
TK is not included in full distance learning. It's just K through 6.
If we decide to go back in person next school year, can my son go back to his home school?
So if you start in full distance learning, is that the question? Can they go back to their home school?
Yes. I think
Okay.
she has a question if we plan to return to in-person
So
learning.
if you're currently on full distance learning, you're still enrolled in your home school. And so yes, if you decide to go back in person, you'd stay at your home school. So if you currently are an Annie R. Mitchell student, but in full distance learning right now, and you choose to go back in person, you'd go back to Annie R. Mitchell. If you choose next year for a full distance learning option, you would be in the program through Royal Oaks Elementary. And then we would have to go through the transfer process to go back to your home school, if you so choose to do that.
Will my student's teacher be designated distance learning teacher, or will the teacher be teaching both in-person students and students at home?
Great question. Yeah, I understand. So depending on the need, so we're going to ask parents to sign up and make a commitment in June if they'd like to send their students to full distance learning. And then we will see how many students we have. So we will have enough classes per student. So the teachers will be hired just to teach full distance learning. So if I have enough for 3 kindergarten classes, we'll hire 3 kindergarten teachers, and that will be their primary assignment, is to teach the students in the full distance learning program through Royal Oaks.
Will classroom music, band, and orchestra be offered? And this includes introducing the students at the 4th grade level.
So our band and orchestra is 4th grade and above. At this time, choral music is difficult because of the health guidelines on us. And so we still are awaiting guidance to see if we can do a full choral program in elementary school and to see what that would actually look like. So it's a hard question to answer right now if we're going to offer it doing full distance learning, because we don't know what that's going to look like for our in-person learners as well. For band and orchestra, again, it depends on how many students we have and the need, and if we have enough teachers to teach.
How will special education or a child with an IEP work in full distance learning? Will it be similar to how it's working now?
It will be similar. Again, as I stated earlier, we're going to really work with the parent and the student that has special education services and also their service provider to make sure it's the best possible placement for them in a full distance learning. And if the decision in that team is that it is, they will still receive services. Their service provider will most likely not be the same.
If I send my child to school and change my mind to do distance learning instead, can we change?
Again, I answered this question a little bit earlier. Yes, you can change. We ask that you wait till semester to change if at all possible. And going back to your home site is if space is available.
Will they still have a Spanish class? And I know this doesn't pertain to K-6, but
I'm assuming that this is a student that attends GLC currently, and they're the only school site for elementary that offers Spanish. So full distance learning would not offer a Spanish class.
can a kid do half a semester, and I'm going to assume they meant half a year in distance learning and then switch to in-person?
Yes.
If my child returned to in-person, will they attend full day?
Yes.
Will this be for second graders from Elbow Creek?
Any student within our district can opt to go full distance learning. So any elementary school student is eligible to sign up for full distance learning. And Mrs. Batty, we're going to take 3 more questions, and then I'm going to switch over to 7 through 12, and then we will do questions at the end again. So if you haven't gotten your question answered or you have another question, please continue to put it in the Q&A, and we'll get to that after our second part of our presentation.
Okay, I have 95 questions. I'm just trying to find you a
That's
good
okay.
one. How will this affect TCOE students on campus?
So this program is for Visalia Unified School students. So TCOE would have their own programs.
How many hours will the Zoom classes be with the instructor?
So again, that depends on the grade level and how much time your student needs in small groups. So we'll have set times for language arts and for math and for social studies and science, all of our core areas. And then they'll have time to break into small groups for small group instruction. So that's at the student's level. So they might meet daily for small group. They might meet twice a week for small group. That all depends on where your student's at and how much help that they may need.
Okay, last question for K-6. The children will be considered Royal Oak students while on distance learning? Question.
They will be considered Visalia virtual learning through Royal Oaks. So they'll be Royal Oak Bears, virtual bears.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to turn things over to Michelle Reed, principal at Vcis, so she can explain the 7 through 12 program, and Jeff Hahn is there as well to answer, both secondary experts in our group. So thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Michelle Reed, and I am the principal of Visalia Charter Independent Study. I'm going to first go over the middle school program, and then I will go into the high school program. So my school is a charter school, so it's a bit different from the other schools in Visalia Unified. For middle school, the curriculum that we will be focusing on is the Edgenuity program. And then the students will be utilizing that for their base curriculum with the instructional teachers. They can Zoom in each day to get additional instruction with teacher support. So for the middle school, all students will be attending classes via Zoom. The classes will meet in 2-hour blocks twice a week for each class. Students can take elective classes on Edgenuity, or they can utilize the eDynamic program, which is an online elective-based program. Spanish 1 will be offered to 8th grade students, and all students will be required to meet with a supervising teacher once a week. The supervising teacher's role is a check-in with the students to ensure that they are completing all their work, they're communicating with parents, and they're just basically doing check-ins with students to see how they're doing in the program. For our high school program, so currently VCIS offers two programs. We are adding the third program, which is the VCIS for virtual learning program. Our first program is just a traditional independent study program, and it is a hybrid program that has classroom-based instruction as well as independent study packet work. Our online program is our second program. We do utilize Edgenuity for our online program for high school. And all these programs are available 9th through 12th grade. Our third program is the new program, the VCIS Virtual Learning Program. Most instructional support will be through Zoom, and they'll be utilizing our independent study curriculum. All of our curriculum is A to G approved. It's also NC2A approved. And then on top of that, because these students will be enrolled at VCIS, all VCIS students have access to all seat-based classes in electives, including our VAPA, our CNA, our MA, and art classes. For the virtual learning, students will work remotely from home only. They may need to come in from time to time to pick up new assignments based on their course enrollment. And so that would be set up at the school site. We currently do drop-offs with a drive-through, and we would do something similar to that so students do not have to come into the campus. VCIS uses district adopted materials in all programs. They are paced alongside the high school programs as well. So it creates a smooth transition from any of our comprehensive high schools into the VCIS program. Students that are enrolled in any of the programs are provided a flexible schedule to meet their demands outside of school. So some students do work, and so we can provide flexible scheduling for students. There is a requirement that students in pretty much any of our programs will be attending seat-based classes in science and in math classes. We do offer Spanish as well, and we do have Spanish in Edgenuity. We also offer French in Edgenuity. So we have a couple of different language options for students. We do offer tutoring for all grade levels 5 days a week in all subject areas. So students can Zoom in to get the additional tutoring, or we do have it in person on campus as well. And then for all the programs, all students must meet with a supervising teacher once a week. Again, the supervising teacher provides the additional supports for the students, communication with families, keeps students on pace, and provides the feedback for the classes. Okay, there are quite a few independent study elective courses that are available to the students of VCIS, both independent study courses. We have courses in e-dynamic, and we do have seat-based courses. So students would have access to all the courses that we have available. The e-dynamic program is an online elective program that offers over 80 elective options that are A to G approved, that they have a deep focus in career technical education. Okay, so again, because we are a charter school, we do have to adhere to the requirements of our charter, meaning that we do offer students the supports that they need, but we do have to consider their enrollment with our program. And if the students are falling behind, they will be meeting with administration to review their progress and determine placement. We do offer IEP services at VCIS, but again, we do go through the process that VUSD does with all their students with IEPs and ensure that we are offering FAPE to our students. Okay. I think we're good there.
Thank you. Okay, if you have questions, parents, for 7 through 12, please go ahead and utilize the Q&A and we will get those answered for you. Mrs. Batty, go right ahead whenever you find one.
For a teacher meeting, will it be in person or through Zoom for our full distance learning students?
All of the meetings would be through Zoom.
Will the 7th and 8th grade students be required to complete the same amount of courses as the in-person students?
So the 7th, 8th program will be comparable to what they would receive at a comprehensive middle school in Visalia Unified. So they will receive the same courses and the same amount of hours of instruction.
I believe this next question possibly was covered by your schedule that you've posted. It says, how many hours are the 7th graders going to be in Zoom? And if it's going to be in the morning or what time and how many days a week?
So I can at this time show kind of a sample of our schedule that we have for our students. And so the first example would be a 7th grade. And keep in mind, this is just a sample schedule. This is not something that every student is assigned to. So if you take a look at the schedule, we are going to be offering some additional supports. We are looking at My Path, which is part of Edgenuity. It is a built-in intervention for students, so that way it meets them at their level. It can provide additional pathways for the students to ensure that they are getting the education at their level that they deserve. And so we're looking at potentially bringing that in for our 7th and 8th graders. Our students would then, on Monday, for example, they would attend tutoring for the 10:30 to 12:30 spot for a couple hours. That is an open tutoring for any students to attend. And then if they're doing an e-dynamic elective class, they would attend a lab session in the afternoon. Tuesdays and Thursdays would look very similar, or would look exactly the same, because again, our classes meet twice a week. And so they would do, for example, a math class every Tuesday, Thursday at 8:30. They would then Zoom into an English course, and then they would do a history course in the afternoon. And so if you look at, you could see some flexibility within the schedule. If students are working on pace, they're doing well in the program on their own, tutoring is an option. It is not a necessity. The e-dynamic labs are supports. There are different options that they can attend, potentially a Monday or a Friday. They don't have to do both. And so there is flexibility within the schedule and with the number of hours that a student would be attending through Zoom each day.
Do we need to enroll our children again in the pertaining school for full distance learning? They're asking about enrollment.
Okay, so I know that the district is going to be asking families to make that commitment by June 1st, I believe is what it is. And that is the district's application. To be able to enroll at VCIS, you will need to go to the vciseagles.org website, and there is an enroll now. Applications are available for students for the fall semester.
Will high schoolers need to have the same credits as in-person students?
Yes, we still have the same requirements. And then I'm going to add a couple more details to this. Students, we do have an agreement that our students can go back and do extracurricular programs at the comprehensive site. So meaning the students can participate in the sports. So they are able to do that. And what was the other one? Yeah, music, clubs, any extracurricular students can participate.
Is VTech included in these options, or do they have different options?
So I would suggest VTech parents contact the VTech administration. They are developing a program for their own students. Again, they are a charter school. Students are welcome to enroll, but VTech is doing their own support for distance learning.
Would AVID be offered as a full distance learning student?
So currently VCIS does not offer AVID. It is something that has been discussed, but at this time we do not offer it.
Will my son still have access to the speech and occupational therapy services?
So again, we do have IEP services at VCIS. We do have meetings. We want to make sure that it is the correct fit for a student. And so we would meet to discuss it. Students are able to enroll in the program. And then we will go back and take a look at the student to make sure that our program is a good fit for them.
If I decide to put my student who is going to be a senior next year in full distance learning for both semesters, will they graduate from their homeschool or from VCIS?
So students that are enrolled at VCIS are VCIS students, and they would graduate with VCIS. We do have a full graduation ceremony, just like the comprehensive high schools have at the Mineral King Bowl. And it looks exactly the same. Full cap and gown, everything.
If your high schooler is in SLC program, will it remain the same setup as it is now? Will it be full-time?
I'm going to go ahead and take that. The SLC program will look the same as it has before. It'll be full-time. And those programs are not offered through full distance learning.
If my student is enrolled in a Link to Learning Academy, will it be offered in distance learning?
No, unfortunately not.
Will there be any dances or events for pardon me, skip that. Will full distance learning students be eligible to attend events or dances if they're open again?
So if a current student at El Diamante enrolls in the VCIS full distance learning program, they'll still be allowed to do extracurricular activities like sports, dances with their home site. So the answer is yes to that.
This is going back to the K-6 real quick. Will there be after school programs available in their schools for full distance learning students?
If you are interested in signing up for HEART is housed on our campuses, but it is a separate entity. And so you'd have to go through HEART for that.
What curriculum would be used for the full distance learning for the 4th through 6th grade students?
The same curriculum that's used for in-person learning will be used for our full distance learning for K-6.
Will AP and honor classes be honored for full distance learning students?
So VCIS is able to offer AP courses through the Edgenuity program, but we do not offer honors classes.
The counselor for my daughter will be the same for her homeschool if she does distance learning? Question.
So VCIS does employ counselors. And so our counselors will then be that student's new counselor.
If my son is in 8th grade for the 21-22 school year at Valley Oak, will he participate in promotion from Valley Oak?
If you choose the full distance learning option, you will do a promotion or a graduation through VCIS. So the only thing you will be able to participate in your home school, so if you're a Valley Oak student, would be the extracurricular activities such as sports.
Hold on, I'm just looking for. Where would we drop off work for 8th grade virtual learning?
All students in 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade will be working through Edgenuity, which is an online program. So there will not be a need for work drop off. If there is any additional pieces that need to be done, the teachers usually work through Google, Schoology, or even Google Classroom.
I believe you answered this, but is VCIS a charter school?
Yes.
Does VCIS also have CSF?
No, at this time, VCIS does not have CSF.
This question is asking, will full distance learning students in Visalia attend the same school? And I believe we already talked about the K-6.
Kim, can I answer the question about CSF? CSF is an extracurricular club.
Okay,
So they would be eligible for participation at their home school.
thank you, Mr. Hahn.
And then will you repeat the last question?
Let me find it.
Mrs. Batty, was the question, would Royal Oaks and VCIS be considered their school now? Was
I
that the
believe so.
question?
I'm looking for the
So
question, but
technically, yes, you would be entering into a full distance learning program at either VCIS, which you'd be a VCIS student, or through Royal Oaks. And if you want to go back into an in-person learning program, that would be enrolling back in your home school. And again, you would be accepted into your home school to go back in person if space was available.
can a student at VCIS attend band at their home high school?
Not the class, no.
Would there be an application paperwork or application or paperwork to fill out for distance learning program, or does the information from past school, the past school
Register.
attended get transferred over? They're
So
asking
I'm
about
going
their
to start
enrollment.
with the K through 6, and so that's their registration packet, which we do ask to be updated every year. We do have an online version. And so it's an easy way to update it there. That will be passed on because you'll be staying within Visalia Unified. So you'll still be asked to update it as you do each year. So there's no packet per se if you've already been within our school district. Now to register with VCIS, I believe, Mrs. Reed, they do have to fill out an application with you.
So we do have the application and we do have the emergency card. We do all the same process. And so the application again is available at vciseagles.org, or you could come into one of our campuses to pick up a hard copy of the application if you would prefer. But applications are available now at the vciseagles.org website.
For full distance learning, will they still have the grab and go meals or meals available?
As long as we're doing grab and go meals, we will have them available.
Is there a limit to the number of students that can attend VCIS? I hear that there's often a waiting list.
So at this time, we are working on being able to accommodate all students that are requesting the full distance learning option. If we do end up, once we get all of the applications in and we do have more students than we have spots, we will go to a lottery option. And that lottery option will happen in July.
Well, I'm looking for the next question. If my student is already a VCIS student, do I have to complete another application for the upcoming year?
So if the student is wanting to change the option, we will communicate with our current families on how we can go about doing that. Otherwise, they can remain the same and stay in the same program that they are currently enrolled. And no new application will be needed.
Pardon me, I'm just filtering the questions. Some of them we've answered. Is this the only option for full distance learning? Enrolled in another high school? My son has an IEP.
This is currently the only option for full distance learning. And so again, it's through VCIS. And if you have specific questions because your student has an IEP, please reach out to your student's educational specialist, their case manager, to discuss options for your student that would best meet their needs.
Will being enrolled in VCIS affect my students' college application acceptance?
No, VCIS is a WASC accredited, NC2A approved A to G course list. So no, our students do go on to four-year universities as well.
Will pre-first be offered through full distance learning?
We currently do not have a pre-first. Students can work independently, meaning that they can work, as late into the evening or as early into the morning as they choose. We do not have a bell schedule, so it looks very different than a traditional site.
Does VCIS offer the full 90 credits for the full year, just like Sequoia?
Our program has acceleration and credit recovery built into the program, meaning that we meet the needs of the students where they're at. Every student has an individualized learning plan. So if they are behind in credits, we can work on accelerating their education for the credit recovery. And then if students are looking to accelerate their education, we can work with families to plan for that as well.
Ms. Somavia, can you discuss a little bit about the enrollment process that we're going to be doing? This might answer a lot of the questions we have in the chat box.
Absolutely. So when we're finished here, there's going to be enrollment form for Visalia Virtual Learning Program. You can find it at VUSD.org, our website, under distance learning. It's found at the top of the homepage. So if you go to the homepage of our district website, VUSD.org, you'll find the distance learning button and you click on that and that will go to our enrollment form. And again, that's an enrollment form K6 and 7 through 12. When we get those in for 7 through 12, we will then forward them to VCIS so they know that those students are interested in there. But if you're interested in 7 through 12 VCIS full distance learning program, please go to their website to actually fill out an application as well. Oh, so I see up on the screen there is the survey, correct? Sorry. The actual enrollment form. Our amazing Mr. Boone is running our technology for us. So he has up on the screen there what the enrollment form looks like that you'll find once you go to our website. It's in English and in Spanish. And so you'll be able to go right there. It's easy to fill out. You're going to fill out all of the areas that are required. So your name, your student's name, student's first, last, and middle name, their date of birth. Just going to go through that and enroll them. Again, then we will be contacting you from there. And again, if you are 7 through 12, please fill this out and go to vciseagles.org to fill out an application for 7 through 12 through VCIS. Okay, if you have further questions, we will stay on for the next 15 minutes and answer them. But if you think of questions after this, please feel free to contact any of us by email. And is there a way to put our email addresses online right now? Okay, well, I'm going to say them. Okay, we'll add them to the website. So when you go to the distance learning, you'll find Mr. Jeff Hahn's name and his email address, Ms. Michelle Reed's and her email address, mine, as well as Mrs. Crabtree's. If you have any questions about case 6, please direct those to either myself or Mrs. Crabtree. We'll be happy to get back to you. If you prefer a phone call, please, when you email, include your contact number so we can give you a call back. And then if you have specific questions 7 through 12, you'll direct those to either Mrs. Michelle Reed or Mr. Jeff Hahn. And again, we'll get back to you. We're also going to be posting online frequently asked questions. So we'll take all those questions tonight and we will put the question and answer on there as well. So you can refer back to that. But again, we will also offer a couple other parent information nights if you have continued questions. Or if you know others that are interested, you can then direct them to come back to our next parent meeting. We hope to give as much information as possible. And so you're able to make the best choice possible for your student for next year. I think Mrs. Batty has some more questions.
Will students be using their same Chromebooks that they're currently using?
Yes, every student that has a Chromebook checked out to them will continue on with that Chromebook unless something happens to it or it is at its end of its life and will be switched out.
Actually, can I correct that real
Oh,
quick?
yes.
Yeah, I apologize. So if a student is enrolling at VCIS, they do need to return their Chromebook back to their comprehensive high school or the site that they got theirs from. VCIS has Chromebooks that we will be distributing to all students.
Good thing we have our experts here for secondary.
So as of now, my student is a full distance learning student in first grade. So if I'd like this for the following year, do we have to register them with the online form?
Yes, so currently, if you are at any elementary school within Visalia Unified and you're on full distance learning, next year they will only be offering in-person learning, so more traditional school. So if you want full distance learning for your student, you need to fill out the enrollment form found on our website, and then you'll be enrolled in the full distance learning through Royal Oaks Elementary School.
So if my student has already chosen their classes for next year, but they decide to do full distance learning, will they need to reselect elective classes?
If they are going to be enrolling at VCIS, yes, we will have a new selection of courses available to students.
If my student is in person, will they attend all day?
Sorry, in person next year will be a full day program.
So all eighth graders from Green Acres can only do full distance learning. So if they're a current Green Acre student, they can only do full distance learning at VCIS.
That's correct.
Can we keep the hotspot that was issued by VCIS or by VUSD if we enroll in full distance learning?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Will second grade students still be using School of GNI Ready?
If you are on full distance learning, absolutely. If you're in person, that is up to the teacher on which format they will be using.
I believe we answered this, but possibly this parent logged on late. Can high school students go back to their home school if they choose to at the semester?
Yes.
And again, it's crucial that a high schooler stay in if they choose full distance learning for the entire semester because VCIS classes run differently. Correct, Mrs. Reed?
They do, yes. The seat-based classes are paced similar to the high schools. But we do have to evaluate students' progress. We do like to keep the students if they are pacing well, they're doing well in their classes. It's difficult to disrupt mid-semester. So ideally, we do ask that students stay on for the full semester to keep from that disruption.
Will PE classes be offered through our full distance learning program?
Yes.
And same for K through 6, they'll be offered PE.
Can you please repeat the deadline for the full distance learning enrollment?
June 1st.
And that's for the district. Please have your VCIS applications filled out no later than July 1st so we can get a head count.
Will details be available on the VUSD website?
Yes, we will put up a frequently asked question and answer for you, so you can go back and reference that. And again, we'll be holding additional parent information meetings.
Ms. Olivia, I believe we've answered all the questions. Most of them are
Okay.
repeat, but they can
Okay.
reach out.
Absolutely. Parents, thank you so much for your interest in this program. We hope that we have been able to answer most of your questions. Again, we will be available by email. We'll stay on for a couple more minutes in case any further ones come in. But other than that, we will be posting all of those questions and answers online. We'll hold another information meeting in a couple of weeks to make sure we get all parent interest and answers, questions answered, I'm sorry, to make sure that you're making the best decision for your child. Again, if you have very specific questions about your student, it's best to call your student's school, talk to a teacher or the administrator to see if this program is right for your student. Again, we want you to make sure that you're making the best possible choice. Okay, I'm gonna have Mr. Boone bring up the website one more time. So if you go to VUSD.org, to the homepage. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you log on to the homepage. Whoops. Okay, here we go. So if you log on to VUSD.org, this is the homepage. And then Mr. Boone, can you scroll down to show where they would go? Right there, that rectangle with distance learning, parents and family resources. If you'll click there, that will take you to information about full distance learning. And then where it says click to access enrollment form, where it's now green, that's where you'll click to do the enrollment form for any student kindergarten through 12th grade. And again, if you are 7th through 12th grade, you're also going to go to vciseagles.org and fill out their enrollment form as well. And again, enrollment for our full distance learning program is due by June 1st. And that date is put in place because we have to secure teachers, and we need to make sure we have enough staff to meet the needs of our students. If you decide after June 1st to enroll your student in our full distance learning program, that will be by space only. So if we have extra space in the grade level in which your child is in, then we will go ahead and enroll them. But if not, then they'll be put on a waiting list, and then they will be staying at their home school for in-person instruction for the following school year. Anyone else on our panel have anything else to add? Again, parents, thank you so much for your interest. Reach out to us if you have any questions. We're happy to answer them either by phone or email. And then we will be on again in a couple more weeks to hopefully answer some more questions. Have a good evening.